Welcome to Dolphin Dive Daily, your go-to spot for everything Miami Dolphins. If you bleed aqua and orange, hit that subscribe button and join the pod. The Miami Dolphins just dropped a bomb on the NFL world, and it's the kind of move that gets fans hyped and analysts talking nonstop. A massive trade involving Pro Bowl corner Jalen Ramsey, All-Pro safety Minkah Fitzpatrick, veteran tight end Jonnu Smith, and a mix of draft picks has completely shifted the landscape of the AFC. But while everyone was focused on Ramsey's injury, recovery, and the depth Smith adds to the offense, it was the return of Minkah Fitzpatrick to Miami that has stirred up the most buzz. The former Dolphins first-round pick, drafted back in 2018, is coming back full circle after 5 solid years with the Pittsburgh Steelers. And now that training camp is in full swing, the spotlight has officially turned to head coach Mike McDaniel, who for the first time publicly addressed the move that shocked fans and thrilled the Dolphins' locker room. And let me tell you, McDaniel didn't hold back. McDaniel, known for his thoughtful approach and detailed insights, came out swinging during Wednesday's media availability. With cameras rolling and mix in his face, the Dolphins head coach finally broke his silence on the acquisition of Fitzpatrick, and let's just say, he's not just satisfied, he's absolutely thrilled. "We are elated to have Minkah on the team," McDaniel told reporters, crediting both Fitzpatrick's elite skill set and leadership qualities as reasons for his confidence. He spoke about Minkah's athleticism, his ability to make plays in transition, and how well he fits into the defensive scheme that the Dolphins are building. McDaniel mentioned how quickly Fitzpatrick embraced the return to Miami. He couldn't get in the 29 jersey fast enough, in his words, and the chemistry that's already forming, thanks to a strong contingent of former Alabama players. In the locker room, this isn't just about bringing back a familiar face. It's about setting a new tone. The Dolphins' secondary has been a point of conversation all offseason, with some praising its young talent while others worried about its lack of NFL experience. But bringing in someone like Fitzpatrick doesn't just patch up a few holes, it fundamentally changes the unit's identity. Minkah's resume speaks for itself: All-Pro honors, multiple Pro Bowl appearances, and a reputation for being one of the most intelligent and instinctive safeties in the game. He's not just here to play, he's here to lead, and McDaniel made that clear in every word he spoke. The Dolphins aren't asking him to learn on the job. They're asking him to guide, to anchor, and to inspire. That's a tall order. But if there's anyone who can live up to it, it's Minkah Fitzpatrick. The vibe in Miami is shifting, and Minkah is at the center of it all, quietly commanding attention the way only true leaders do. Quarterback Tua Tagovailoa, one of the franchise's most important figures, also weighed in, and his words weren't just surface-level praise. They came from a place of shared history and deep respect. Tua and Minkah overlapped at Alabama, back in the days of Crimson Tide dominance. Tua was just a freshman when Minkah was finishing up his final year, but even then, he said Fitzpatrick's leadership was something everyone gravitated toward. "If there's the standard, and then there's someone who is the standard," Tua said. Minkah is that guy, and it wasn't about Minkah barking orders or giving dramatic speeches. It was about presence, a quiet, unshakable energy that commands respect without ever having to ask for it. That's the kind of voice every young locker room needs, and for a team like the Dolphins, on the edge of true playoff contention, it's exactly the voice they were missing. The Dolphins are a team chasing the next level. They've got speed, youth, and potential. But what they've lacked is the kind of vocal and silent leader who has been through battles and knows what winning takes. Tua's anecdote about Minkah from their Alabama days says it all. He shared how, during grueling end-of-practice conditioning drills, the dreaded gassers, it was Fitzpatrick who spoke up and got the entire team to push harder. No cameras, no crowd, just teammates in pain, grinding together, and a leader emerging in the moment. That kind of stuff sticks. It's why Tua still remembers it years later. It's why Mike McDaniel listens when Tua talks about the respect Minkah commands, and it's exactly why Miami pulled the trigger on this trade. This wasn't just a football move, it was a culture move. One meant to instill a championship standard across every inch of that facility. What makes Minkah Fitzpatrick such a unique asset for Miami isn't just his ability to cover ground or make plays in the secondary. It's that rare combination of football IQ, quiet leadership, and emotional discipline. He doesn't yell to be heard. He doesn't celebrate wildly to be seen. He lets his work do the talking. McDaniel called him a soft-spoken guy who plays the game the way we envision playing it, and that right there, that vision, is what separates good teams from great ones. Coaches like McDaniel don't just want stats. They want players who live the game, who bring a certain energy into the building that forces everyone else to rise. Minkah does that. He's not a distraction. He's not a question mark. He's the answer to a long-standing challenge. Who's going to step in and lead this defense the right way? In a league where locker rooms can fall apart in an instant, where personalities clash and egos flare, Minkah Fitzpatrick brings calm, control, and conviction. He's not new to pressure. He's lived under the brightest lights in Alabama and Pittsburgh. He knows what it's like to carry expectations, and now, back in Miami, those expectations are higher than ever. The Dolphins aren't flying under the radar anymore. This is a team with Super Bowl aspiration, and they're making moves that reflect that. Adding Minkah wasn't about filling a roster spot. It was about shaping an identity. With training camp underway, all eyes are now on how quickly this new-look defense gels. The answer may rest in how fast everyone rallies around No. 29. Because make no mistake, this is Minkah's secondary now. There's also something poetic about Fitzpatrick's return to the team that originally drafted him. His early days in Miami were marked by potential, but also some frustrations. He never quite felt utilized properly in his first stint. And that's part of why the trade to Pittsburgh happened in the first place. But this time around, the story's different. McDaniel and his staff have built a system with a clear role for Minkah, one that leverages his versatility and instincts. It's not about trying to force him into a scheme that doesn't fit. It's about letting him be who he is, a defensive playmaker, a tone setter, a closer. The Dolphins have learned from the past, and so has Fitzpatrick. There's a sense of unfinished business here, a chance to rewrite history, not just for himself, but for the franchise that first believed in him. Pressure is part of the package when you're Minkah Fitzpatrick. He knows it, the coaches know it, the fans expect it. But what makes this situation so compelling is the quiet confidence that radiates from everyone involved. McDaniel isn't crossing his fingers hoping Minkah works out. He's declaring that he will. Tagovailoa isn't cautiously optimistic. He's all in on what Fitzpatrick brings to the locker room. And Minkah, he's not coming in with a chip on his shoulder. He's coming in with purpose. He's coming in ready to lead. Training camp will be where the foundation is laid, but make no mistake, the real test will come in the fall, when the bullets are live and the crowd is roaring and games hang in the balance. That's when leaders emerge, and based on everything we've heard and seen so far, Minkah Fitzpatrick is ready to be that leader once again. There's a new energy in Miami, and it's not just because of flashy trades or off-season headlines. It's because the Dolphins are finally building something sustainable. They're not just stacking talent, they're assembling character. Minkah Fitzpatrick is the embodiment of that shift, quiet, focused, relentless, the kind of player who makes everyone around him better just by showing up. As training camp rolls on, fans and analysts alike will be watching how this secondary evolves, how Fitzpatrick communicates, how he adapts, how he elevates. But for Mike McDaniel and the Dolphins, the most important part of this trade has already happened. They've got their leader. They've got their tone setter. They've got a player who's not just returning to Miami, he's returning with a mission. And if history's any indication, the Dolphins might have just made the move. That changes everything. Still with us? Then show some love. Hit that like button and let us know in the comments. What's your take on the Fins this week? The NFL world is buzzing with the official news that cornerback ASANTE Samuel Jr. has signed with the Miami Dolphins, but while the contract is signed and sealed, fans and insiders are already speculating what this move really means for the franchise. Could this be a game-changing acquisition? Or is it simply a strategic depth move by a front office known for making splashy, but sometimes inconsistent decisions? Samuel Jr., formerly with the Los Angeles Chargers, was one of the most intriguing names on the market this offseason. Known for his tenacity, football IQ, and NFL bloodline, his father being the Pro Bowl corner ASANTE Samuel Sr., the younger Samuel has carved out his own name in the league, and now he lands in Miami, a team that's made waves over the past few years, but has yet to break through to true contender status. Is this the missing piece they've been looking for? What makes this move so tantalizing is the timing. The Dolphins secondary has seen its fair share of instability, especially with injuries to key players and the departure of familiar faces. Bringing in someone like ASANTE Samuel Jr. isn't just a patch job, it's a signal. It suggests Miami is not only aware of its weaknesses, but ready to address them head-on. Samuel has always been a ball hawk, a player who plays with instincts far beyond his years. And that's the kind of mentality this Dolphins defense has lacked at times. Combine that with the team's aggressive style and it's easy to imagine Samuel flourishing under Vic Fangio's guidance. Sure, nothing is guaranteed, but there's a certain electricity in the air surrounding this signing. It feels different, like a move that could tilt the balance in the AFC East. The Patriots, Bills, and Jets are officially on notice. But let's not ignore the chatter behind the scenes. This deal didn't happen overnight. Rumors swirled for weeks that multiple teams were courting Samuel Jr., and Miami wasn't even always considered the frontrunner. In fact, insiders claimed that the New York Giants were pushing hard, and there were whispers that the Pittsburgh Steelers had even made a competitive offer. So why Miami? That's the golden question. Some suggest Samuel Jr. saw the opportunity for immediate impact. Others say the South Florida lifestyle sunshine, tax breaks, and a young, dynamic locker room was simply too good to pass up. There's even talk that he had personal conversations with stars like Jalen Ramsey and Xavier Howard, who sold him on the culture being built. Whatever the reason, it's clear that this wasn't just a football decision, it was a lifestyle one, and Samuel Jr. is betting big on the Dolphins' vision. What's also interesting is the ripple effect this move could have on the current roster. With Jalen Ramsey expected to be fully healthy and Xavier Howard still under contract, Samuel Jr. adds to a potentially elite cornerback trio. But depth charts don't lie. Someone's role will have to shift. Will Howard slide into more zone coverage responsibilities? Will Samuel become the featured nickel back, shadowing opposing slot receivers? There's even speculation that the team might explore more hybrid defensive packages to accommodate all that talent. This kind of flexibility could make Miami's defense unpredictable and suffocating. But it also means there's pressure on new defensive coordinators to make it all work. Chemistry isn't automatic. Fit isn't guaranteed. And in a league where a few blown coverages can cost a playoff run, every detail matters. This move creates options, but it also creates expectations. Let's not forget the pedigree ASANTE Samuel Jr. brings. Coming out of Florida State, he was already being compared to his father, an NFL legend in his own right. But he's managed to step out of that shadow, becoming one of the more consistent young corners in the league. His time in LA saw flashes of brilliance, timely interceptions, lockdown performances against top-tier receivers, and a growing reputation as a guy who plays bigger than his frame. That's important because Miami's defense isn't built around size, it's built around speed, reaction, and disruption. Samuel Jr. fits that mold perfectly. He's aggressive without being reckless, and smart without playing it safe. In a division that features Josh Allen, Aaron Rodgers, and now a retooled Patriots offense, having a cerebral, fearless corner can't be overstated. Fans are already dreaming of matchups where Samuel baits quarterbacks into costly mistakes. Of course, not everyone is convinced this is a slam dunk. Some skeptics point to Samuel's inconsistency in 2023, where he gave up more big plays than usual and struggled in man coverage at times. Critics also argue that he benefited from a Chargers scheme that masked some of his deficiencies with safety help. In Miami, that may not always be the case. The Dolphins are known for complex coverages and aggressive blitz packages schemes that can leave corners on islands if Samuel struggles early. Especially under the bright lights of a media-frenzied market like Miami, the criticism will come fast. But there's also another school of thought. Maybe LA never used him properly. Maybe this move unlocks a version of ASANTE Samuel Jr. we haven't seen yet. That's the gamble the Dolphins are taking, and it's one that could redefine their defensive identity moving forward. Then there's the contract itself. Details are still trickling in, but early reports suggest it's a short-term deal with upside potential. That's a savvy move by the Dolphins front office. It's a commitment, but not a handcuff. If Samuel performs well, Miami has the flexibility to extend him long-term. If not, they can pivot without significant cap implications. That kind of calculated risk has become a trademark of this new Dolphins regime. From Tyreek Hill to Jalen Ramsey to Bradley Chubb, they're not afraid to swing big. And while that's exciting for fans, it also creates a win-now pressure cooker that doesn't tolerate mediocrity. Samuel Jr. knows this. He didn't just join a team, he stepped into a high-stakes experiment. The Dolphins are pushing their chips to the center of the table, and Samuel Jr. is now a key card in their hand. Social media, as expected, has erupted. Dolphins Twitter is filled with hype videos, jersey swaps, and fans celebrating like it's the off-season Super Bowl. Even former players are weighing in, with some calling this one of the smartest moves of the year. Yet, amid all the celebration, There's a growing undercurrent of curiosity. What does this mean for the team's draft strategy and roster development with Samuel Jr. in the fold? Will Miami deprioritize corner in next year's draft, or is this a sign they're doubling down on secondary playmakers to counteract the AFC's aerial arms race? Some fans even speculate this opens the door to trade one of the older, more expensive corners, an idea that would have sounded crazy months ago, but this is the NFL. Nothing is off the table, and when you make a move like this, you're not just signing a player, you're shaking up the whole organization. Coaches, meanwhile, are likely licking their chops. With the combination of Samuel Jr., Ramsey, and Howard, there's real potential for creative, positionless football. Picture this: corners shifting into linebacker zones, safeties dropping into man coverage, and quarterbacks having no idea who's blitzing or dropping back. That level of disguise and deception is what defensive coordinators dream about. Samuel Jr. brings not only skill but scheme versatility. He's played zone, man, press, and off-ball. He understands leverage, spacing, and tendencies, traits that don't show up on highlight reels but make all the difference on Sundays. And if he clicks with the rest of the secondary early, the Dolphins could become one of the most feared pass defenses in the league. It's not just hype, it's a very real, very calculated possibility. And for a franchise that's been chasing relevance for years, this kind of buzz is exactly what the fanbase needed. So here we are. The ink is dry, the jerseys are printing, and the ASANTE Samuel Jr. era in Miami has officially begun, but let's not act like this is the end of the story. If anything, it's just the beginning. What happens next will depend on countless factors: health, chemistry, coaching, and maybe a little luck. But one thing's for sure, the Dolphins aren't standing still. They're taking bold steps, making bold bets, and building a team that looks ready to contend, not just compete. Samuel Jr. may not be the final piece, but he could be the spark. The NFL thrives on narrative, and this one is just getting started. Keep your eyes on Miami. There's a storm brewing in South Florida, and if the whispers are right, it's going to shake the league. That's a wrap for today's dive. If you're loving the content, share it with a fellow Dolphins fan, hit subscribe, and turn on notifications so you never miss a splash. Fins up!